Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location, the next game up in the FNAF list of torture. But who doesn't love their sister, am I right? Anyway, Sister Location is the 5th game of the FNAF franchise and features the return of 10 trophies within the game to go after. 8 are gotten for the different nights and custom nights, 1 is from a minigame, and the other is from just getting jump scared enough to the point that you cry like a child. This game also takes a very different approach to FNAF, and unlike the previous games, you aren't confined to one space and instead have to pursue around this horrid facility and fix a ton of animatronics that want to kill you. The game actually opens up with an initial cutscene, which is a first, and I wasn't even recording yet because I was just finishing my daily edge session.
Hey, yo!
But there's basically some dudes talking about all the cool features this creepy thing can do. Until they stopped talking and a dramatic sound made the cutscene end. Classic horror game. So now we can actually begin the game. Night 1 has us in our elevator heading down to the job for the first time. You also get talked to by this helper robot voice that is actually pretty humorous and has a few good jokes to help you cope with getting eaten alive and ripped apart while breathing. Also, this elevator ride took like a year and has me wondering where this godforsaken sister location is even at. The depths of hell would be my best guess. But once you reach the bottom, you have to open the door with a very hidden red glowing button and then crawl through a vent. Kind of an odd way to enter a control room. You'd think a door could have just been constructed at some point, but it's okay. This first night features around 0 jump scares and just sets up an initial fear of the game's vibe. The quote-unquote job for the night is to make sure all the animatronics are on stage, and you do this by flashing them. No wonder they hate us. And slightly worse than that, you zap them with electricity to awaken their systems. Now I get they are robots, but still, this was kind of cruel and I loved it. So after we dealt with Ballora and Funtime Foxy, we then headed forward to Circus Baby, who I still have no clue where it is. Like, we lit up the room and I couldn't see anything besides endless luminosity of white. Anyways, nothing happened after that, and we then headed back through the vent we came in from and finished the first night. That has got to be the easiest and fastest night 1 out of any Five Nights at Freddy's game for sure.
Stop the cap!
We then got to see what life at home was like for the protagonist. And if the son of a bitch wasn't fat already, he definitely is after I force-fed him popcorn for 3 minutes straight. Night 2 begins the same way as night 1, with you going down the elevator, harassing the big red button, and then beginning the routine checks. Except this time when I was flashing the girl animatronic, everything went haywire and I began to hear some very odd sounds. It almost sounded like it said, drop a like and subscribe? Anyways, we checked on Foxy and he was fine. Also, the voice that guides you in the game was like tripping balls and made sure to let us know that. However, I never asked. Once more traveling through the Among Us land to Circus Baby, and when we got there, he was nowhere to be seen. I never saw him to begin with, but this time he really wasn't there, and the voice let us know. Also, the shock systems like broke down or something, and the voice had to leave us to go repair them. So we no longer can move at all, and hear as something travels through all the vents until stopping right next to us.
Motion trigger. Entryway vent.
Then a creepy girl's voice begins to speak. Now whenever I hear a woman, it scares me no matter what, but this one was special. And not in an autistic way either. Long story short, we got told to hide under the desk because she's apparently friendly. However, the others are not. While hiding, the evil animatronics tried to pull away my expert cover, and I wonder what this would actually look like in real life. Just a grown-ass man curled up in a ball holding God knows what while a giant robot tries to peel it off of him. True fever dream feel for real. So the agony stopped and the girl's voice comes back to flirt once more. This time she literally just tells us what the guide will say because she doesn't trust Snowman to relay information in a truthful way. Anyways, we now have to go reset all the power and everything because the voice guide thing failed like usual. This is where the game takes a quite drastic uptick in difficulty. Then again, night 1 was a joke, so it's not really a good comparison. Anyways, you have to crawl through Ballora's room to the generator room. The way to do this is to not move when there is music at all. I read that you have to wait for it to get loud, but apparently this means any volume whatsoever. So as you could assume, I failed quite a bit before figuring this out. Also, it wasn't a help at all when the dumb voice just blares into the room. Bro is really selling me out right now. Insane. Resetting each time was also very annoying because it makes you re-listen to the voice's instructions every single time. And it takes bro like 30 seconds each time to get his daily words out. In that amount of time, I could have done various activities with my right hand. So eventually I made it to the generator room for the first time, and this was horrible. Basically, your only enemy here is Freddy, and he moves around in various different stages that are supposed to tell you if you're safe or not. However, this danger meter is just complete and utter bullshit. It does not tell you anything useful at all. I failed on my first try, which was to be expected. But restarting all the way back to before Ballera's room was not. And now I am sad. So you have to go all the way through that again and again whenever you fail. I then spent the next hour straight trying to turn on the power and failing a lot. Eventually, I looked up what to do because I really wasn't trying to sit here all day restarting over and over. After figuring out you actually have to look around your surroundings and see where Freddy is, I got the strategy down very fast and managed to turn the power back on after ages. We then crawled back through the Bolero room and finished night 2 for another trophy. And guess how night 3 begins? Yup, in the exact same way as the other 2. The objective for this night is to get through Funtime Foxy's room using this flashlight to see where he is. And on my first attempt, I was brutally murdered immediately. I then tried again and just spammed the living hell out of the flashlight and managed to get all the way past the guy without being captured within his claws again. We then made it to this room where we had to fix Freddy since he is looking more messed up than usual. You have to go around his face and press a bunch of buttons to then open up said face. And honestly, that scared me so bad because I thought I had died or something. Next, we opened up his chest part and pressed this red button on it, which then released one of the toy animatronics into the room, and now we have to chase it down and shut that thing off also. This wasn't too bad, and after we shut down the furry pet, we had to go back through Foxy's room, and I don't really know what happened, but I didn't see the guy one time and got cut up like a blue-haired girl.
That's what I'm saying.
I think this was supposed to happen, however, because I awoke inside of an animatronic suit. We have finally seen the full process of death and life in this game's universe. I am now complete. Also, while just sitting inside the suit, I got a trophy for beating night 3, and then night 4 began immediately after. This must be a plot hole though, because clearly it's still the same night. Immersion is now ruined. Anyways, night 4 is probably the hardest night out of them all. A bunch of little creatures crawl up your suit to the right, left, and middle, right on into your soul. Now the ones in the middle are just there for show, much like Will Smith's husband's bald ass head. But the ones on the right and left are actually able to kill you, and they will do that if you don't shake them off in time. Now you also have to make sure to wind up each spring lock on your suit, or else you'll die from the suit smashing into you and impaling your entire existence. Now that is indeed a big old plate of tasks to do, and honestly this is super hard. This section lasts a total of 3 minutes straight with all gas, no breaks. There's a strategy on each quote-unquote round, as you could say. Basically, each time you knock off both creatures that are climbing from each side of you, you then need to just wind up less and less for each individual spring lock. This is because they all drain faster and faster, and shaking the suit more and more loosens them up as you go. Now this isn't actually horrible once you know how long to wind each one up. I also had a timer on my phone going so I could see how close I was getting each time, and on numerous attempts I was getting to like 2 minutes and 55 seconds. So quite literally I was edging Five Nights at Freddy's Sister Location. Anyways, I had an existential crisis after 45 minutes and had a small brain aneurysm which caused me to AFK and die again. But on the next try, I had finally achieved greatness and done it. Also, I must have timed it perfectly because half of the locks in the suit had like 0 winding progress, so I'm not sure how I didn't just die anyway. So we got the trophy for night 4 and now only have 1 more night left. Also, this show got really good all of a sudden, it's weird. So night 5 begins and we went to check on the usual animatronics rooms. And yeah, so that was in both rooms. Must have been a product of divorce. Anyways, we got to go back through Foxy's room and he was nowhere to be seen when I crossed his domain. Then again, I was aggressively flashing him and not everyone is into that. We then entered the room where we fixed Freddy last time. This time, however, there was a super creepy animatronic inside. And I don't even want to fix her. I had to though, so I popped this keypad open from my ear or something. And we then got a code relayed to us from this girl's voice from the beginning of the game. And Lord have mercy, this was just demoralizing. Like, it's so damn simple, yet I was so bad at moving that cursor in an effective manner that I just failed over and over. I don't want to say it, but PC has a giant advantage right here. This amount of embarrassment truly does remind me of my life before I turned 15. One giant failure. However, I finally got it and I was way too excited to have entered in the keypad code. The animatronic girl then just slid out of the room and I left shortly after. I then got directions on where to move through the room since there's a lot of evil inside. By following this to the T, I then made it to this room with a bunch of disassembled animatronics inside. And something isn't feeling right here. I don't know what it is, but I have a feeling that girl voice that has been directing us the whole time might actually be evil in the end. Also, a super creepy figure just began to watch us, which made the goosebumps come on. The scooper in the room then struck us in the chest and killed us, ending night 5 and giving us a trophy. What an ending. I can't believe we got smashed by Freddy's sister. So yeah, that was the normal night trophies for the game. All that is left is to get the alternate ending, finish some minigame thing, get all the jump scares, do Golden Freddy mode, and also do the custom night thing. Yeah. I began all that by doing the minigame trophy because that sounded the easiest. It wasn't. This is a platform minigame where you play as this bitch who I don't know the name of. You basically go through and have to hit all of these children with cupcakes so they are happy and won't try to rip you apart piece by piece like a normal child would. However, there is no room for missing or doing it in a slow manner because there is both specific amounts of time and cupcakes in the game. I kid you not, I spent 2 hours straight doing this and it drove me insane. Like, it's not even that hard, but for whatever reason my ass could not do it for the life of me. After like an hour or so, I managed to actually get good at it, but then the timing was a problem because you can't really stall or pause at all during your run. and I ended up finishing a few times in terms of doing it alright, but on the jog back to the beginning where the ending is, I would run out of time and fail. So after 2 hours I eventually did it and we finished the minigame off with a whopping 1 second left. Truly a buzzer beater to beat all wife beaters. Anyways, a little innocent child comes up to get her ice cream cone. So I pulled the Josh Giddy on her minor ass and ate her up, ending the minigame and giving me the trophy for it. Now I went and began the alternate ending trophy, which has you play a more traditional version of Five Nights at Freddy's where you're just in a room waiting to be eaten alive. And I was scared to get jump scared, so I deleted the game.